Hello, fellow humans. It is me, John Smith, and I've been meaning to make a life update video, but I've spent the past 6 weeks writing and rewriting, and then rewriting and rewriting the same script over and over because I struggle with TMI syndrome or whatever. Anyways, I made a vow to be open and honest about my mental health, even when it is poor. But the last time I did that, it had unexpectedly dramatic results. And since then, I have been very weary to share really anything with the internet. You may have noticed, haven't really posted much or streamed much or anything since that time. So this time, I'm not going to sum up all of my feelings into 3 tweets that can be misconstrued as some sort of secret message. The small minority of you from the Funhaus subreddit can go suck a egg. My sole intention with speaking about my mental health is to destigmatize it. I am peeling back my skull and showing you all of the slime that is clogging my brain so that those who need to know can know you're not alone. I'm right here. The short of it is that I am not mentally well, and I have not been mentally well since late 2021. When I left Funhaus the first time, it was to start a new chapter in my life. I failed at that quite miserably and eventually crawled back to the previous chapter, which was working at Funhaus. When I moved back to California, the very first thing I did was try to find a therapist because all of the therapists in Missouri were self-purported family Christian therapists, and everything they communicated was all about our relationship with God. And I don't have any problem with that. I have no problem with religion, but for me, I have no interest in talking about my relationship with God. I want to talk about my mental health. So I couldn't find a therapist in Missouri, and things just got worse and worse. And when I did make it back to California, I called my old therapist's office, and lo and behold, COVID fucked a lot of people up, and there was a 3-month waiting list. And it was during those 3 months of not having therapy while also being around, people I loved, that eventually led to me throwing a hand grenade into my life and just fucking everything up. By the time I returned to LA, I was in such a state that I could be emotionally overwhelmed by pretty much anything. Some of these things included brushing my teeth, ordering food to be delivered, despite the fact that I hadn't eaten for 14 hours. I also started to have very physical reactions to my anxieties. Not knowing what else to do, I opted to self-medicate heavily with weed and just suppress for those 3 months until I could get back to a therapist. That turned out to be a really stupid decision. To be reductive, basically this caused me to act like a little bitch and drive away 2 of the 3 people that I've ever felt comfortable being truly vulnerable with in my adult life. These 2 individuals also happened to be friends with a lot of people at Funhaus where I worked, and that also fucked that up. Instead of speaking to my coworkers about it, that would have been awkward, and clearing the air, I bottled it all up. This caused me to quickly assume that all of the mutual friends of my former friends just fucking hated me. And I could not convince myself otherwise. My therapist calls these intrusive thoughts. This paranoia quickly spread to the entire office, and I spent from June 2022 until December 2023 when I left Funhaus, every day was like a waking nightmare. I believed everyone around me just fucking hated me and didn't want anything to do with me, and there wasn't really anything I could do about it. And despite my therapist saying all the right things, giving me all the right tools, I could not convince myself that I was not hated by everyone and no one wanted me around. Now, this essentially turned me into Michael Scott, where I was desperately wanting to be friends with my coworkers and being perpetually butthurt when that wasn't happening. And I know I've been open about my depression, very open, maybe too open, but I do have to be honest about one other thing, which is that since 2013, I have suffered from coming and going suicidal ideations. But in June 2022, when I blew up my life, those ideations became much stronger and basically ever present. Please hear me when I say that ideation is not the same as intention. But in mid-December, I did make that jump into intention. But I, once again, need to be clear, no attempts were actually made. No real attempts. There was a time where I was delusional from the flu and from an accidental drug cocktail causing me to experience something called serotonin syndrome that made me think I was on my deathbed, and I accepted death. But that's not an actual attempt. I decided to stop getting up for water and trying to feed myself, and I decided that I would wither away. And I would argue that that's not actually an attempt. There was no... That's an attempt through inaction, which I would say does not count. Anyways, long story short, things got very dark mid-December. And I am sharing this because it's basically a product of me bottling all that shit up for a year and a half. I can speak confidently and say that if I had just been very awkward and brought up, hey, I broke up with these two friends, I know you're friends with them. If I had done that and gotten their read on things, December would not have happened, and things would not have been this bad. Things probably would have been great. But no, I decided to not communicate, and I suffered for it. And everyone around me suffered as well, because I could really be a pathetic little self-loathing, self-pitying bitch, basically. And I need to be very, very, very clear. I hope I've communicated this clearly, that this is all in my head. This is mental illness. Funhaus did not instigate this in any way. Everyone at Funhaus has been completely supportive. It doesn't matter. I'm fucking crazy. And on top of that, to be frank, given the way that things went, I might not be here if it wasn't for the unwavering leniency that was shown to me by my managers at Funhaus, Dan and Omar. My ever deteriorating mental health increasingly affected my ability to work, but my job security was never once questioned. Although I constantly feared that I was going to be fired, every time I said, am I going to be fired, Omar would roll his eyes and say no. And if not for the stability of a steady income over the past 2 years, I can honestly say I do not know where I would be right now. So thank you, managers at Funhaus, for dealing with me, and thank you everyone else at Funhaus for putting up with my soggy bitch boy behavior. It wasn't constant, but you never knew when that little soggy bitch boy was going to come out and hawk a loogie in your direction. And nobody wants that. That's not fun. So, whoops. And I apologize that I do not come to you with better news today. All previous iterations of this script, or whatever this is, ended quite positively. It was like, I'm starting a new chapter. Let's do this. Let's go. But whenever I got to that point in the script, I could not bring myself to basically, I guess, mask up or lie or whatever. I don't know. And also, all previous scripts were literally like an hour long. Like, I went so far into my head that it was like probably troubling. So be lucky that you guys don't have the 75-minute version that I recorded last week. But anyway, things are not all gravy. I quit my job during a manic episode in December, and even though I think that was probably the best decision, it was done on a whim without any preparation. And also, despite, ample evidence to the contrary over the past 2 years that my coworkers don't hate me, and the understanding that I am mentally ill and this is all in my fucking head, still can't convince myself that anyone at Funhaus wants anything to do with me. Even if they all reached out and were like, John, please come back. We love you. We need you at Funhaus. I would not believe them. Because it has nothing to do with them. I am sick. And I can't trust anyone. Anyways, to be clear, I didn't full on quit. I reached out to Omar and I said, hey, I want to move over to a remote part-time editing position. And he said, cool beans, let's do it. So you won't be seeing me in any videos this year, I don't think, but a good chunk of the social shorts, or the vertical shorts, those will still be made by yours truly. Not all of them, but good chunk. So moving forward, I've left my job. What am I going to do now? I don't know. You know, I've tried to start streaming and making my own content again, but I felt like I needed to make this video and get it out before I did really anything else. And as I originally stated, I vowed to be open and honest about my mental health, even when it is bad. So please do not take this as like a cry for help. I've been dealing with depression since I was like 19 or 20. This is like my baseline. You know, I'm not in any danger. And really, things are not as bad as they may seem based on everything I've just shared. It was really bad for a while, but things are getting better. You know, they're not way better, but they are getting better. Firstly, almost immediately after leaving Funhaus, the suicidal ideations went away. Turns out that whether or not it's true, surrounding yourself with people that you think hate you can be pretty detrimental on your mental health. So I couldn't shake that shit myself. I tried, you know, with my therapist, we tried improving my self-care. We tried, you know, finding, you know, meetups, forming new bonds with new people, going out on Hinge dates or whatever. I couldn't keep up with any of that stuff because, you know, I was still struggling to fucking brush my teeth. So like, I can't go out and make new friends if I can't even get the fuck out of bed, basically. So that's been my issue. And that's why straight up just leaving Funhaus just felt like the only thing I could do. And apparently that was a good decision because I don't want to eat a gun anymore. And I do feel motivated to stream and shit, but I've just felt like I needed to get this video out before I started this new chapter. And I was just really stuck on how much I actually wanted to share. And as previously stated, the last time I tried to record this video, it was 75 minutes and I wasn't even done with the fucking script. So you're welcome that I just pared it all down, okay? But I have a history of saying, oh, this is the thing that's holding me up. And then when I finish that thing, I find something else to go, this is the thing that's holding me up. So we'll see once this video is released, if I'm actually able to start this new chapter, or if I'm still just struggling with motivation as a concept. Who knows? Only time will tell. One big step I can tell you and that I can be proud of, even though, you know, for functional people, this does not seem like an accomplishment at all. I reached out for help. Hey! One of the really terrible things about mental health is, as I said, self-care. And I hadn't cleaned this apartment at all since I moved in here 19 months ago. And it was very, very disgusting. And I told my parents this. I said, hey, I can't bring myself to do this. Can you help me? And they said yes. And they drove up from San Diego. And yesterday they helped me clean my apartment. And I now have a spanking clean apartment. It was really, really gross and it was really, really disgusting. But living in that was easier than willing myself to do anything about it. Which is a real bummer because I think to a lot of people on the outside it comes off as lazy. Which is totally understandable because you don't know what that person is coming through or going through. You know, I've been in two situations previously in a professional setting where Basically, someone started going through some shit. It caused them to start missing a lot of work. And everyone in the office, including myself, were like, this motherfucker's lazy. And then when we found out the real reason, we were all like, oh, sorry. I'm not saying that's at all how anyone feels, but I wouldn't blame anyone if they did, because how can you know unless that person shares what they're going through? And I did not. So what do I actually want to do with my life? What am I going to do with my life? My end goal right now is something that has been something I've wanted to do since I was like 16. It's originally why I went to college, but then I ended up leaving school because I got work in video. But I actually originally went to college for computer science with the intention of game design. And that's what I want to do. Still want to do that. But first, I have to focus on self-care and getting back into a healthy lifestyle, healthy routine. And, from my experience, that means I can't just be like, I'm making a feature film now. or like, I'm now making the next Pal World. That's not how it works. And I'm trying to be realistic. So what I've decided to do is I've made a Ko-fi account. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's similar to Patreon, except you don't have to do a monthly subscription. You can just do a one-time donation and get access to everything. And basically my idea is that this is going to be a creative repository for everything that I actually am capable of doing. The hope being that as time goes on, what I contribute to that Ko-fi will actually become more substantial, because I'll actually have the motivation to work on things and do things. But for now, I am advertising it as a creative journal with no promises of progress or completing anything. 1 week I could have a motivated week and I can, bang out some stuff, and I will share all of that on the Ko-fi or whatever it is. I'll share all of that on my journal. But the next week it could be a low week and I can just binge, 5 seasons of Bosch like I did this week. And if that happens, I will write a very loving tribute to Lance Reddick's neck. Actually, you know what? I am going to write a tribute to Lance Reddick's neck and put it up on the Ko-fi. It's not there yet, but I'm going to dedicate Sunday to that. All right, so there you go. And if I abandon a project, which is likely to happen because that's what I've done with a lot of projects over the years, I will share it in its abandoned state. I've already put up all 3 video essays that I abandoned since 2021. One was about selling out. It was basically advertising all the different revenue streams I was trying to get started up as a content creator. The second one is about Donkey Kong 94 and its contributions to modern day gaming. And the third one is something I'm really proud of and that I actually do intend to finish. It's about how Pokemon sucks. And it's already like 80% done. Those are all up on my Ko-fi right now. So go check it out. You don't need to do a monthly subscription. If you just give $3 once, you'll have them all. And I think you'll have access to the journal, moving forward. If that's not the case, and it's like a one-time donation only unlocks the stuff that exists and you don't get any of the new stuff, then I'm just going to set it all to free. And it will all be available for free on there. But who knows? We'll see. I don't know how Ko-fi works yet. And once I find stable footing in my life, things may change. Maybe I'll get rid of the Ko-fi. Maybe I'll go get a job at like a little indie game dev place. I don't know. But for the time being, I'm just being honest, I could crash again. I'm just not in a place where I can confidently say that I can do really much of anything. So sorry. Like I'm still struggling on a daily basis with getting out of bed at a reasonable hour and feeding myself. That was a big thing. Starving myself was a big thing in late 2022, and I seem to have kind of conditioned myself to not feel hunger until I'm like passing out, and that's a problem. Once again, this is not a cry for help. Please do not be troubled. This has been every day for me for a long time, and I'm okay, and things are getting better. Also, I kind of have ethical issues with the whole monthly subscription business model, but sadly that is a reality of the industry I am in. So if if you want to subscribe to me on Twitch or YouTube, that's totally cool. I think that's awesome. But please don't if you're not financially secure. And even if you are, set a monthly reminder for when that thing renews, just so that if you do find yourself in a place where you're like, I would like that $5 every month, you will not accidentally keep getting charged for it. And this is also the reason I chose Coffee over Patreon. As I said before, you're not forced to do a monthly subscription to maintain access. You can give me $3 once, and think that you're going to have access to the journal moving forward. If that is not correct, then I will amend this statement. Also, many of you have been hounding me for this, so I have brought back the Pizza Posse merch store. That's right, everybody, pizzaposse.com. For me, selling merch feels way less predatory than like trying to get people to subscribe monthly to me. So if you're like on the fence, and if you're like, I want to support John, but I don't know how, go buy a shirt, go buy a fucking sticker. But yeah, that's basically it. I am not in a good place. I am, but I'm in a much better place than I was a month ago. That's where we are. I'm gonna try to stream. I'm gonna try to make videos. And I'm gonna try to make games. And I'm gonna do it. I just need to be realistic, and I need to be honest, and I need to say that I'm not in any way out of the fucking woods. It is proving very difficult to break the bad habits of lack of self-care that I've had for the past 2-ish years. But yeah, follow me on Twitch, subscribe to this YouTube if you haven't, and go check out my coffee, because that Pokemon video is fucking hilarious, and it's the first like 9 minutes of it is picture locked. Like, it is a complete video up until the background disappears. Okay, so go check that shit out. And also, I love you. Bye. See you on the internet.